Tonight, severe storms hit Southern California, causing flash floods and forcing several rescues.
The water was way too high, so it was even dangerous for us to get out of the Jeep.
Heavy rain, mudslides, multiple counties under a state of emergency, and more harsh weather on the way. King Charles delivers his Christmas message.
The way communities came together carry a timeless message for us all.
How he's looking to the past as he calls for peace. Staying active in long-term care.
How can we design something that will allow people to move about freely?
The benefits for those with dementia and the work to replicate the model across Canada.
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson.
Thanks for joining us. Adrienne is away. Tonight, dangerous floods that have swept through parts of Southern California have turned deadly. States of emergency are in place as roads are washed away, leading to dramatic rescues. In San Bernardino County, 3 people needed to be airlifted from the roof of their home, one of many such scenes that played out in the region. Still, at least 2 people have been killed, and the threat is far from over. With another significant rainfall ahead, authorities are urging people to stay off the roads for non-essential travel. Ithel Musa now on the danger that remains.
This is what Christmas morning looked like in Southern California. Record-setting torrential rain Wednesday, triggering flooding, road closures, and sending mounds of mud and debris flowing across the region. Officials confirm several people died in weather-related incidents.
This was a warm storm, so we didn't get any snow. Everything that fell continued to roll down the hillsides, so that contributed to the mud, the debris flows, and the impact to the
Highway 18 in San Bernardino County, a major route submerged. Emergency crews received dozens of calls and pulled drivers to safety. The hard-hit area is just one of 6 California counties now under a state of emergency. Another is Los Angeles, where Gerardo Galvan says he was off-roading when his Jeep was suddenly surrounded.
By that time, the water was way too high, so it was even dangerous for us to get out of the Jeep and try to hook up the Jeep. So, like last resort was just to abandon it and, save ourselves.
This daring helicopter rescue was carried out after a hiker became stranded in Ventura County, unable to cross a swollen creek. These California storms are the result of multiple atmospheric rivers carrying massive plumes of moisture from the tropics. And meteorologists say there's more rain to come.
More than half a foot of rain has already fallen across portions of California, and these numbers are expected to go up over the next 24 hours as more rain is expected to come into these areas.
Experts say complicating things are the California wildfires earlier this year that stripped the land of vegetation, making those areas less able to absorb water, which can trigger mudslides, rock slides, and debris flows. Now, those under shelter-in-place warnings are being urged to stay home. In spite of Christmas celebrations, they may be forced to miss. Ithel Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
In Quebec, the bodies of a man and a child have been recovered after a tractor sank in a lake about 2 hours north of Montreal. Police say the man in his 40s was clearing snow from a path near the water Wednesday evening when the tractor went under. Emergency crews, including divers, were called to the scene but were unable to save them. No criminal charges have been laid. Some breaking news tonight. Donald Trump announcing the U.S. military has conducted a strike in Nigeria. On social media, Trump stated in part, "Tonight, at my direction as Commander-in-Chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria." The U.S. president went on to say this was a response to the targeted killing of Christians in the West African country, a claim he has made numerous times and one that Nigeria's president has denied. However, officials there have confirmed the strikes were part of an ongoing security operation. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says she will soon travel to Greenland to underscore Canada's respect for its autonomy, as the U.S. sends blunt signals it would like to take over. Karen Pauls on that show of support and the reaction from other allies.
Greenland, a frozen Arctic island, rich in natural resources, part of the Kingdom of Denmark for 300 years, but often under threat by Russia and China, and now also by Washington.
We need it for national security. We have to have it.
The U.S. president recently appointed an envoy to the territory. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry originally said he aims to, quote, make Greenland a part of the U.S., later walking that back a bit.
We don't go in there trying to conquer anybody, trying to, take over anybody's country. We say, listen, we represent liberty. We represent economic strength. We represent protection.
The Danish foreign minister says Landry's comments are unacceptable. He'll summon the U.S. ambassador to Denmark to make it clear some lines have been crossed. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, says she spoke with her Danish counterpart and gave Ottawa support for sovereignty and territorial integrity, adding Arctic security is a core priority for Canada. This former Winnipegger has been living in Copenhagen for decades. John J. Neufeld says he's hearing a lot of outrage.
Increasingly, I think there are more and more Greenlanders who almost feel more threatened by the United States than by China and by Russia.
The European Union affirming its position.
That preserving the territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark, its sovereignty, and the inviolability of its borders is essential for the European Union.
Denmark is ramping up military spending and pouring it into the Arctic.
Because if you're not up here and conduct training, you're not able to defend Greenland.
That investment is something Canada also supports. Anand says she plans to visit the Greenland community of Nuuk early in the new year to open a consulate. She says Denmark is a major partner of Canada, and she's urging NATO to focus more on threats in the north. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Washington.
King Charles and Queen Camilla led the royal family to the traditional Christmas service at Sandringham, the couple's country retreat.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Charles' younger brother Andrew did not attend after being stripped of his royal title this year for his connection to convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. But Andrew's daughters were there, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, mingling with family members. And the King's annual Christmas message has been released. Caroline Bargut shows us how Charles uses his faith to grapple with the world we live in and the year that lies ahead.
Lady Chapel in Westminster Abbey. The site of King Charles's fourth Christmas message, a fitting location for an address full of religious sentiment and themes of pilgrimage, demonstrating His Majesty's strong Christian beliefs.
Journeying is a constant theme of the Christmas story.
He evoked the journey of the wise men and the kindness they received from others as a way for people to live today.
To this day, in times of uncertainty, these ways of living are treasured by all the great faiths and provide us with deep wells of hope, of resilience in the face of adversity.
Charles also reflected on events this year, marking the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, tying the past to the present.
The way communities came together in the face of such great challenge carry a timeless message for us all.
Resolving world conflicts was a large part of the King's underlying message, and the broadcast concluded with a carol performed by a Ukrainian choir.
He sees division both at home and abroad, he refers to, and we can all think of divisive public figures. But he thinks that the monarchy is about bringing people together and remembering that we have more in common than what divides us.
The year has not been without its challenges for the royal family, most notably the never-ending controversy surrounding the King's younger brother Andrew and his long-standing relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
In late October, King Charles stripped Andrew of his title and his royal home, just weeks after Virginia Giuffre released her memoir, where she repeated allegations that Epstein forced her to have sex with the former prince on 3 separate occasions when she was a teenager, claims Andrew has denied.
I think that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was dealt with very decisively. There may be individual failings by relatives of the monarch, but I think the King has asserted himself as really as a statesman and as somebody who thinks deeply about the issues of the day.
2025 is ending on a positive note when it comes to the King's health. He recently announced that after nearly 2 years, thanks to early diagnosis and effective intervention, his cancer treatment can be reduced in the new year. Caroline Bargood, CBC News, London.
A recent study shows Canada's youngest adults are now the most likely to embrace religion. Michelle Song on what's motivating many in Gen Z to pursue a life of faith.
22-year-old Storm Laro started attending this downtown Toronto church less than 2 years ago, a personal decision that fits into a Canada-wide picture of religious younger Canadians. He says he's found fulfillment.
For me, it was like searching for things like love, things like identity, purpose, stuff like that I couldn't really find elsewhere, whether it was through sports or grades or relationships.
Laro is part of Gen Z, those born between 1997 and 2012, now in their teens and 20s.
I think many young people are starting to realize that they don't know what happens, say, after they die. They don't know what their purpose is. So that curiosity leads them to especially ask questions of Christianity and other religion as well.
The leaders at his church say more young people are coming to their services in the last couple of years.
I would say it's a spiritual hunger, for lack of a better term. A spiritual hunger that they're expressing, where it may not be just to learn about Christianity, but they're exploring different religions.
A recent study by Angus Reid found Canadians between the ages of 18 and 24 are the most likely to be religiously committed, followed closely by those 25 to 34.
Gen Z is now the most religiously diverse generation we've ever seen. So there's higher rates of Hinduism, of Islam, of Sikhism.
Allahu Akbar.
Imam Musleh Khan teaches Islamic theology to young people. He says more are approaching him with curiosity towards his faith.
Usually when students are done high school and they start thinking about that there's more to life than just chilling out and having fun. And why am I here? What's the purpose of life? What am I doing? These questions start to boil up.
And faith leaders at this church say it's not just new worshipers coming through their doors. They've noticed people who have left the religion coming back and bringing others with them. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
Researchers are taking a close look at a BC assisted living home for people living with dementia that's incorporating nature in its residents' daily routines. Yasmin Ranea on the push to recreate the model right across the country.
These are not just farm animals. They're part of a care program for people living with dementia.
You can give them some of that.
It's how this private assisted living facility in Langley, BC is trying to revamp long-term care.
How can we design something that will allow people to move about freely and go where they want, when they want?
Care farms like these have been operating in Europe since the late 90s, with the Netherlands leading the way. Research shows this model can help improve dementia patients' mobility, well-being, and cognitive function.
There's no question that people with Alzheimer's disease become very withdrawn, they become lonely.
The facility has goats, chickens, and a garden to give its 75 full-time residents a chance to be active outdoors. It also offers a day program for non-residents who have dementia.
The girls that talk to us and look after us, basically, and tell us what to do. You know, they're all very nice and polite.
More than 700,000 Canadians are living with dementia. By 2030, that number could reach about 1 million. There's no cure, but a desire to give patients a good quality of life.
Quite often we sacrifice quality of life for the sake of safety.
It's why professors at the universities of Simon Fraser and McMaster are now researching the Langley farm and how it can be replicated across the country.
But we want to bring in the evidence that interaction with nature is important.
It costs as much as $13,000 a month to live full-time at the Langley facility. The hope is that more research could eventually lead to government funding and affordable care for more people. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Langley, BC.
Paralympic champion Kurt Oatway is chasing one last podium at 41.
I got injured and I decided, right there in the hospital, it's just like, this isn't going to be the end.
How the athlete is preparing for Milano Cortina after a crash nearly ended his career. Pickleball popularity is booming, and so are the strains and sprains that come with it.
Where I think the majority of injuries come from is people that haven't been active that now are jumping into a sport.
How to play smart and avoid injuries. We're back in 2. The Paralympic Games are just over 2 months away, and a Canadian gold medalist is working hard to get back on the podium after a devastating injury. Alexander Silberman now on the paraskier's rise to the top and how he's trying to recapture that glory.
Kurt Oatway is gearing up for what might be his biggest competition yet, returning to the Paralympic Games at age 41.
It's only over when you say it's over.
Fighting back after this crash left Oatway sidelined and forced to watch the 2022 games at home.
I got injured and I decided, right there in the hospital, it's just like, this isn't going to be the end.
The start of Oatway's skiing journey began at age 5, but while in university, a rock climbing accident left him with a spinal cord injury. Then Oatway learned to ski all over again, here at Tiny Mission Ridge in Canada's flattest province.
The first day was very, very fast.
Gord Polton was Oatway's first coach.
As you come out of an injury, there's a lot of relearning to do what you can accomplish. And Kurt's obviously accomplished a lot by coming out and being a skier.
What's it like seeing Kurt go from your community ski hill to the Paralympics?
That's amazing. I mean, all it takes is just somebody to open a door and to ignite the spark of the sport.
The Saskatchewan ski community rallied behind Oatway, bringing in an extra coach and helping him purchase his first racing sit ski.
I always believed that he could do it.
Oatway's parents say getting back on the slopes was a turning point.
From a state of despair to a state of triumph. It's been very, very motivating for him.
9 years later, he surprised the world.
Kurt Oatway is the Paralympic champion.
With an unexpected gold medal win.
It's been a whirlwind journey, and just knowing where you came from and being grateful for the opportunities goes a long way.
The elite athlete is now coming off one of the best seasons of his career, 9 World Cup medals, determined to race his last Paralympic Games to a podium finish. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Fort Capel, Saskatchewan.
Pickleball's surge in popularity has come with an unfortunate consequence, a massive spike in pickleball-related injuries. Julia Wong now on how you can work to avoid getting hurt.
If you need to find Rob McDonald, chances are he's dinking. But he isn't doing any crazy moves after a pickleball injury 5 years ago.
My body went behind, my knee kind of twisted in and then blew out my knee, ACL, MCL, everything inside the knee kind of decided to let go. And yeah, it was not fun.
The 54-year-old calls it a freak accident, but wants people to know injuries can happen.
Where I think the majority of injuries come from is people that haven't been active that now are jumping into a sport, and your body needs a little bit of adjustment to that.
Just go nice and slow.
One physiotherapist says he didn't see any pickleball injuries 5 years ago. Now he sees them every week. A recent study finds the most common injuries are knee, lower body, and shoulder related.
What we've seen in the clinic is mostly overuse. It's sort of that weekend warrior type sort of syndrome where people are just doing too much too soon. And then once they sustain an injury, they're continuing to play on through the injury.
Another study finds eye injuries are climbing at an alarming rate, even as pickleball popularity grows. It estimates close to 90% of eye injuries in the U.S. within the last 20 years happened between 2022 and 2024. This enthusiast is all too aware of what could happen.
And I did get a shot on my glasses once. It was a side shot. Somebody hit it on the side of the paddle and came onto my eye, and then they saved me.
These will kind of wrap around the side of the head.
Medical professionals say picklers need to be proactive.
Whether you wear a prescription or non-prescription glasses or what your visual requirements are, you should be wearing protective eyewear of some sort.
Strength training is good to make sure that you're avoiding some of the sprains and strains. And then working on your balance is really important as well.
Advice to keep in mind, because as fun as it sounds, pickleball is still a sport, and one of the fastest growing ones in Canada. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
And we will be back. Earlier this year, the Netherlands paid tribute to Canadians who helped liberate their country 8 decades ago.
For us to go back and see it all again and see how they appreciated it.
We take you to the commemorations and hear stories from veterans who were there. Next. This year marked the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. In May, Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault traveled to the Netherlands with a select group of veterans who were honored as liberators. We wanted to take a look back at their remarkable stories.
Jim Parks, how good to see you.
You too.
I'm Simon Buma, the mayor of Leeuwarden.
It's been 80 years, but they still look at Jim Parks and see their hero.
And we're so grateful for what you did 80 years ago.
See a Canadian who helped expel the Nazis from the Netherlands.
Give you the flag of the municipality of Leeuwarden.
Oh, that's nice. From Leeuwarden, yeah.
That's one of the Dutch towns liberated by the Canadians at the end of the Second World War.
You're still with us, and we're so happy to be with you.
The mayor traveling all the way to Canada to thank those who fought to save strangers a world away.
There we go.
Jim is 100, but he's restless and determined.
Smile.
And is still a soldier on a mission, is among those vets heading back to where he fought his last battle in a long war. And for him, it was a very long war. Because Jim Parks also fought in Normandy, was among the first Canadians to land at Juno Beach on D-Day in 1944. He's found the strength to show up at every important D-Day anniversary and always makes the effort to return to the Netherlands.
Good evening, everybody. From the flight deck, this is your captain speaking.
He is not alone.
We are honored to have a delegation of 21 Canadian Second World War veterans on board.
In a huge operation with tough logistics and a lot of respect, nearly 24 other Canadian vets from the Second World War made their way to Holland this past May. The last liberators, the youngest among them in his late 90s, the oldest 105.
So we just wanted to welcome you on board today.
All right. Woohoo! A flight utterly captivated by these vets. How could you not be? What does it mean to you to be able to come back here?
Whenever I come over here, and I've been over a couple of times now, I get choked up as soon as I put my feet on soil.
Thank you to our veterans. We are eternally grateful for your service to our country.
All of them heading to a nation that has never forgotten what it was like to see the Canadians come to the rescue.
They were sort of kept in their houses or wherever they're hiding. And then they made sure that the people that were outside were the friends, like the friendly forces. They started to come out. But when they first come out, they're sort of a little bit weary.
More than just weary after years of Nazi occupation, they were starving. The official daily ration for each person was just 320 calories in the last days of the war. It became known as the Hunger Winter.
New hope comes to Holland with nourishing food.
The Canadians became known for not just freeing, but feeding the Dutch.
150 lorries driven by Canadian drivers take the precious commodities to hungry Hollanders.
The Canadians were among the first to arrive, and among the first wave of them, the paratroopers, jumping out of planes to land behind enemy lines. Ernie Wiles, at 99, remembers it with horrifying clarity.
We're a little bit bewildered, found all our equipment, our guns, and we had bags strapped to our legs with ammunition in it, and our guns were in there. So as quick as we got to the ground, the Germans were right there. We had to stop them. That's what our job was.
Once his paratroop dropped down in September of '44, the mission was clear and terrifying.
Blow all the bridges up that we could blow up and stop them because they all had their tanks and stuff. Because they parachuted in, we were the first ones in there.
A spirit of wild fiesta reigns in towns and villages freed by the Canadian Drive.
There they were to welcome us. The Germans were on the run.
Because the Germans were on the run, that means they were hiding everywhere, making for the closest of calls.
I was told to go down and check this farmhouse. He said, throw a grenade in first and then go in. So I just went there and I said, no way I'm going to throw any grenade. I opened the doors, a whole family of Dutch. There they were, 5 of them. You can't forget that, you know. Yeah.
They killed so many of the Dutch people. It was unbelievable. They would just hand their hands and knees to us. You're Canadian.
Ernie was hurt in these battles. He got shrapnel in his ankle from a bomb going off as he landed a jump. It was such a vicious wound, his ankle had to be rebuilt when he eventually got home. But getting home at all was extraordinary. 7,600 Canadians didn't.
Well, this is me, that's Herbie, and that's Walter.
At 104, Edward Stafford has a few tales to tell. He joined up early in the war with his buddies, the names as fresh as the scenes in his head.
It was really Herbie that got us into the Horse Guards because he joined first. So Walter came to me one day and he said, we're not going to let Herbie go by himself, are we? So we decided to hitchhike up to Borden to join the Horse Guards.
They fought together through the Italian campaign, then a delay for Ed. He had appendicitis. His friends continued on to Holland.
And they had told me that Herbie had been killed. And then I had to go home and face his brother, you know. We didn't know what to say to each other, really. Because I'd grown up with Herbie, you know. It's how he was killed, you know. The whole thing was just so stupid.
The Herbie he's talking about was Herbie Stitt, crew commander of a tank hit by a bazooka. He survived, but the tank was damaged. They couldn't fire back at the Germans.
He got outside under fire. He was out there for about 8 hours. He did everything right. He went back, and the first thing he did was go to the maintenance.
An exhausted Herbie took out his sleeping gear to rest. That's when a gas truck rolled up.
The guy ran over him.
Herbie hit and killed by that gas truck.
He was one of the bravest guys I ever saw.
When Ed went back for the 70th anniversary, he made sure to visit Herbie.
I hope it wasn't for nothing, because I don't think any of us knew what we were getting into.
None of them could have known what they were getting into. But what they left behind was a nation with a gratitude that does not seem to lessen. And the Dutch show it in extraordinary ways. Gingerly preserving Allied memorabilia, for example, including one of the cars Ed drove officials and commanders in. To see that car on his last trip a decade ago seemed to mean the world to him.
We were in some function, and all of a sudden I saw the scout car, and I took off, went across this field. It was really something, you know.
When you landed, there were hundreds and hundreds of them there running up to you and grabbing you and Canada, Canada, you know. It was every place you went, Dutch people all were waiting for you. It was really just, you just felt like kings.
It's always so nice because they're so appreciative. To them it's so real. Even though these people that you see, some of them may not even be born at the time. But the history comes along with the family.
It's a huge effort for these men to make to go all that way to the Netherlands, but there's no doubt the love fuels them.
The love the love they had. For us going over and doing what we did. And we were able to go back. Lots never got back. But for us to go back and see it all again and see how they appreciated it.
Do you hear the heart in that?
So special to have you here.
So I'm so proud to come back.
Can you feel the heart in this? The Warriors have arrived again, and the welcome again is full and warm and necessary.
Hello, welcome in Apeldoorn.
The Dutch have been waiting.
We're proud to have you here.
The liberators have returned.
You may not have noticed it, but some of the vets on that special trip to the Netherlands were much younger. They didn't serve in the Second World War, but they belonged nonetheless. Their special roles when we come back. Veterans helping veterans. We saw that firsthand on our trip to the Netherlands. Let's have a listen to how some of these men share why that bond between soldiers is so strong, even if they didn't fight in the same war.
In the event, you saw Canadian Second World War vets being celebrated as liberators in the Netherlands. You surely noticed a few things. The reverence for these men, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The crowds, absolutely. But did you notice those alongside the old soldiers? Paul Clark with 99-year-old Ernie Wiles. Kent Griffiths, always next to George Morash, who's 102. The younger men vets themselves on another mission now. Battle buddies.
It's a part of my routine, and I just love to see him, and he loves to see me.
So you're kind of his person now?
Yes, I'm his person, and he's my person.
Kent and George are both Calgary Highlanders, one who saw action and horrific losses in Normandy and the Netherlands, one who served in Afghanistan. While working for the Legion, Kent first met George and his wife Fern 5 years ago. And then, when Fern died, Kent realized something about George.
He doesn't have any children, he doesn't have any living brothers or sisters, so I thought I would help fill that void and go over and visit him.
What can I say? I love Kent.
Yeah. Do you find, Kent, soldier to soldier, that there are things you can talk to George about that maybe you don't talk to others about?
Absolutely. I'm his confidant, he's my confidant. We've gone through similar things. I certainly wasn't in a war like George and didn't have to watch my buddies die in front of me. So he's a tough man, but the memories, they come back. And every now and then we'll have a little cry together, and that's not a bad thing at all.
George, does it help having Kent here to be able to talk soldier to soldier?
Yes. I don't know what I'd do without Kent.
This is not an official program. There's no national caregiver strategy in Canada to pair younger and older vets, but it's a thought. And in the U.S., in Virginia in particular, it's a practice.
It's not all sunshines and rainbows. We're doing the hard work.
Shauna McLean lost her dad to the ravages of the Vietnam-era chemical Agent Orange. Bothered by how aging vets struggle, she became the chief operating officer of Heroes Bridge, in part pairing up younger and older vets.
We always say the veteran picks their battle buddy, because we can have a social and a veteran can sit with 4 different volunteers. He's going to click with probably one of them.
There are phone lines for lonely vets to connect with other service members, meal deliveries, home repairs, soldiers helping soldiers.
Especially our Vietnam veterans, they're a little untrusting at first that someone's going to help them and for nothing.
Does it work? Shauna says there's every indication the companionship and caring make the men feel stronger, healthier, and that's a victory.
This one here is a fire department
Even here, where these connections all happen organically without funding or structure, the results are real.
You look a little younger there, Ernie.
Oh, well, I'm getting younger all the time.
You were a jumper and I was a jumper.
Yeah, we were paratroopers. We just trained and then went overseas and did our work over there.
Ernie Wiles was one of the first Canadians to fight the Germans in the Netherlands. At 99, he still lives alone in the Kawarthas in Ontario.
Another British paratrooper here.
Yeah.
And he's got the maroon-colored tie on.
And he met Paul when the younger vet spotted Ernie in the maroon beret of parachutists. They started talking and just kept at it. And when the realization hit that Ernie needed a caregiver to accompany him for this year's trip to the Netherlands for the 80th anniversary of liberation, it was just a natural choice that Paul join him.
He looked after me pretty good, kept me out of trouble. I was always roaming around somewhere, you know, with a walker.
And he was like that too. If I turned my back for a second, he was gone.
Nice to have a good friend with you, that's for sure.
The trip, a memory now, the relationship still ongoing. As much as he can, Paul checks in on Ernie. Not an obligation, an honor.
It's not too cold, is it?
Yeah.
A friendship, and in an ideal world, a trend.
And we got to go in the parade, and the people would reach out and they would want to touch your hand. That was a great event.
To chat with Kent Griffiths now is to get the feeling he'd love that too.
This is my duty in life right now, is to be his friend and to make sure that he's feeling valued as a veteran, because he's a hero.
And look at that big smile here. Someone was either telling you a joke or you were really happy to be there.
Remembrance is an act. It demands that we do something. So does love. And this is both.
That love is also obvious in the way families are remembering the soldiers who are no longer here. Up next, a mother-daughter duo go on a very personal journey to retrace the steps of one soldier's last days of the war. 80 years after the end of the Second World War, some families are finding ways, unique ways, to remember the sacrifices of soldiers no longer here, including a pilgrimage of sorts.
No, it's not a mirage. Those are Canadians coming over the Dutch hills into Wilp again. Not liberators returning 80 years later, it's their children. Canadians in their father's footsteps. Thanked by the Dutch just the same.
I wish you a beautiful day today. Thank you again.
For the sacrifices of the men whose photos they wear.
I want to give you a set of letters to you, the children of the people who are you carrying at your chest. It touches me. Thank you very much.
Among the group, these two. Sue Brady, her daughter Holly Laird from Oakville, Ontario. They're here for him, Sue's dad, Holly's grandfather. He's Jim Gibb of the Royal Canadian Artillery. He fought in Italy and then right here in the Netherlands. Gone since 2018, piecing together what he did is a constant labor of love.
If he were here now, what kind of questions would you have for him?
Well, why did it take so long to tell me the story?
What story? Well, one of this church, of the bullet holes in it, and that steeple. That Sue knows any of it is because of this man. Ott de Vries. Friends now, but strangers 25 years ago when Sue came to the Netherlands with her dad. They encountered grateful Dutch citizens, Ott among them. Jim asked his new friend to bring him to this ancient church. He'd never spoken of it before. What Sue learned then is Jim was part of Operation Cannon Shot in April of 1945.
Canadians massed across the Isle River, supporting armor to the far bank.
The mission to break through the Nazi front. When his regiment got to the town of Wilp, he and a fellow soldier climbed that steeple to keep watch. They hid there for days, being constantly fired upon.
So Ott, my friend, went and found an older gentleman who came, and he said, I remember feeding you. So he would, at night, they would bring the food till the soldiers thought of it.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And we got permission to go up, climb up this very steep stairway. And he got there and he goes, there's my initials. It was unbelievable.
You know the way. With Jim gone and Ott no longer able, Sue's determined to see the steeple again, show it to Holly for the first time.
I think it's locked. Oh, no, it's not.
This is how you pass down history.
Wow.
How's your knee?
And my knees are fine. My heart's pumping.
But she's her father's daughter, not a big fan of obstacles.
There was 2 of them. They were here for 3 days. Yeah. Dad said they had fabulous views because they could see so far on 4 sides.
It's a perfect lookout.
Yeah, it was a perfect lookout for crossing the ice.
What's this like for you?
Just so proud of my grandfather and all that he achieved in 6 years of service. And to go from Sicily all the way through and survive and then liberate the citizens, it's just an amazing moment.
Anecdotes come in flashes on a trip like this.
Let's walk with the 1st Canadian, 2nd Canadian.
Walking the battlefields, crossing the rivers as their fathers did, the families retracing as much as they can, the stories flow. Even in the places of reverence, those cemeteries filled with young Canadians.
We walked the Reichwald. We walked through Emmerich. We saw where he crossed the Rhine. They showed us exactly.
A treasured memory, the Dutchman who once tracked Jim down to thank him for giving the man's family his rations. It saved them from starvation.
Dad did make a connection with the family, this gentleman.
All she's learned helps her make sense of Jim. She even understands now why he was such a picky eater.
We always had to have potatoes, meat, and vegetables separated because he said for 6 years he had eaten out of his helmet. And he said, I don't want to do that anymore.
Details keep those we love alive.
Do you ever worry about people not remembering?
Well, yes. Well, not in my family.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was World War I. Dad was World War II. My son is in the armed forces right now. And my grandson just went into the armed forces last night.
Remembrance with this family is a purpose. It's Sue and Holly laying the wreath at the Grosbeak Cemetery, where so many of Jim Gibbs' Canadian comrades remain. And in a moment that has to give you chills, just behind the nearly 24 vets in the Apeldoorn Parade, look who walks in their footsteps. Maybe these next generations, who are the story keepers, descendants of the liberators and liberated, still connected, is what the future of remembrance looks like. The vets will always come first, but the history of what happened here is in good and caring hands.
That was Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault reporting back in May. This holiday season, The National is bringing you a countdown of the most popular moments from the last year. And tonight we're taking a trip back to a paddling adventure that became a rescue mission for 2 young women. How they saved a foal with a kayak is tonight's moment.
Me and my friend Ava were paddling down the Kananaskis River. We first saw the horses and we were all excited.
We're looking to our right and there's this foal that's caught in the water that can't get out. It was making a lot of distress noises.
Ava ended up paddling the boat to the other side while I held on to this horse. We had him on shore hoping that the rest of the herd would come back before him because they'd all kind of run off.
They didn't come back. We decided might as well just bring it with us. Anna strapped her life jacket around it. We put it in the boat and it just had a little nap there.
He was pretty scared at first. We had kind of become his new companions. The First Nations group mini thing. He sent down someone in a truck to come pick him up and brought him back to the herd.
It's good to know that this horse has a second chance at life because if we weren't there that day, that foal wouldn't be here today. Who goes for a raft and thinks, oh, I'm gonna save a horse today?
So it was just kind of like an unusual thing that just sort of happened. So it was a good feeling.
Yeah, unusual, I'll say. Turns out neither of these young women had had much interaction with horses before, and so they said it was exciting, but also kind of nerve-wracking. And Anna used to be a former lifeguard, so she was used to rescuing people, and she says she just used some of the techniques she learned to rescue this young horse. Now, it was rescued by a man who recognized this horse from a herd out of photos, so it has since been reunited with its mother. A happy ending for all of them and a great adventure. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Take care.